Mods for Baldur's Gate 3 are already really good. Like, their potential is just insane. Yo, what's good? It's Miss Tora. Look, I know it's been a while, but hey, I'm back. And with Baldur's Gate 3 finally being fully released, I've been having an amazing time. But for today's video, I wanted to go over some of the mods I've been having a lot of fun with during my playthroughs that I think are must-haves if you're interested in modding the game. As a quick disclaimer, BG3 is a complete and amazing game all on its own, just as a base game, right? And my personal game of the decade, not just year. It doesn't need mods. Again, if you're deciding to mod in general, then these are must-haves. Also, mod your game at your own risk. I've personally had no issues, but you still should be extra careful to follow instructions when modding Baldur's Gate 3. First and foremost, I want to talk about an amazing mod called 5e Spells by Diz91891, as a few other mods in this list are going to require this one in order to work properly. It adds a bunch of new spells to the game that exist in D&D 5th edition but didn't make their way into Baldur's Gate 3 at launch, and tweaks how a few existing ones work in order to bring them more in line with D&D proper. As of right now, only spells up to level 4 have been added or edited, but their creator is still working on including spells of higher levels eventually. Still, some really dope spells have been added, like Tasha's Caustic Brew, Flock of Familiars, and Mind Spike. Even some of my favorites have been added, like Shadowblade, Summon Beast, and Summon Shadowspawn. For our first category, all of these are going to be subclass mods. First up is the Cleric Subclasses mod by Baltavi. This mod adds the Arcana, Death, Forge, Grave, Order, Peace, and Twilight domains as options for cleric subclasses. I believe that makes it so that every single cleric domain in D&D is now available to play in Baldur's Gate 3, again if I'm not mistaken, right? This mod implements the features of each subclass, and thanks to being tied to that 5e Spells mod, also adds some of the spells that each domain should be getting as well. It even changes the starting equipment for some of them, so that way their theme is better represented from the get-go. So if your favorite cleric subclass didn't make the cut at launch, then this mod is for you. Next, we got the Rogues Extra mod by Lost Soulman. This mod adds the remaining 6 rogue subclasses to the game, that being Scout, Mastermind, Soul Knife, Inquisitive, Phantom, and Swashbuckler. So now every single rogue subclass is available to play. The details page mentions that each subclass has all of their features implemented, but there were some that needed to be altered, like the Mastermind, as their features don't necessarily translate well to BG3 versus tabletop. But still, I think the creator captured the spirit of those features very well. I checked the Soul Knife, and yeah, level 9 and 3 features work. I don't know why I did that in reverse order, but yeah, level 3 and 9 features work, and they also look really cool, which in my opinion is even a bit more important. Now let's take a look at the Shadow Sorcerer subclass mod by Baleos. This adds one of my favorite Sorcerer subclasses to the game, with pretty much all of their main features working. The creator of the mod did, however, beef up this subclass a bit by adding new features and providing some at earlier levels, but they did this because other official Sorcerer subclasses in BG3 do the same thing. My main concern was the Hound of Ill Omen signature feature that works rule as written, so I'm good personally. The features that were added or given at earlier levels, you don't have to use them, which still makes this mod perfectly usable and overall great in my opinion. Next, we gotta talk about the Hexblade Subclass mod by Fariat111. This adds the Hexblade Warlock subclass to the game, and it is a massive fan favorite, including me as well. All of the features are here, implemented up to level 10, and it even changes the starting equipment to some medium armor and a longsword, which is a nice touch. And again, thanks to the 5e Spells mod, they get their extended spell list. The reason people love Hexblade so much is because you get access to some of the best Warlock stuff, like Pact Magic, Invocations, and high charisma for social situations, but with subclass features that make them better melee fighters, so they're super versatile. It's this fantasy of being a great spellcaster and weapon user at the same time, which makes them so much fun. And lastly, we got the expansion Bladesinger only mod, again by Diz91891. This mod adds another fan favorite subclass to the game, the Bladesinger. This subclass of wizard incorporates swordplay and dance as well as fearsome spells in combat. The name Bladesinger comes from the fact that their blade sounds as if it's singing while in combat. I really like this subclass as it has a really dope theme to it. The only time I ever played a wizard in tabletop D&D was a Bladesinger. So whenever I decide to do a wizard playthrough, this is the subclass that I'm going to be playing for sure. This next group of mods is going to center around features of the game itself, either ones that are changed or added. First up is the NPCs Don't Run from Summons and Druids Forms mod by PWYBman. This mod actually fixed something I found really annoying while playing my Beastmaster Ranger. When you summon certain animals like wolves, NPCs will react. They're gonna run away and say things like, oh no, or get away. I'll admit it was cool to see that reactivity at first, but over time it kind of just became annoying when my ranger would try to talk to an NPC, but they kept running away because my wolf was with me. And I am not gonna have my precious boy wait outside the town or settlement. Now, wherever I go, he is going to go as well. Next up, let me introduce you to the Bags mod by Liareth. This mod adds 18 new containers to the game that are lootable in the starting tutorial. They're also purchasable from a merchant in Act 1 and Act 3. These various bags and containers have icons and are labeled to make organizing your inventory much easier. Next up for features, we're going to take a look at Invocations Expanded by Winterbrick. This mod, as it sounds, adds a good amount of new warlock invocations to pick from when leveling, such as Undying Servitude, which lets a warlock cast Animate Dead, Gift of the Protectors, which saves them from being knocked to 0 HP once per long rest, and many others. There's some really cool options here to allow for more diversity when building your warlock. And lastly, for features, we got the Choose Your Stats mod by Lost Soulman again. Bit of a warning, this mod can just be a straight up cheat code, but I just want to focus on the legitimate uses for this video, that being things like alternate rules or homebrew. For example, it's great for implementing rolling for stats for a character. Roll them outside of BG3 like with your own dice or a stat rolling website, and then use this mod to increase and decrease ability scores to match what was rolled. It can also be used for really popular homebrew rules like level 1 feats. This next category we're going to focus on is with mods dealing, with customization. First, let's take a look at one of my favorite customization mods, New Character Creation Presets by Toari. I think that's how you pronounce it. This mod essentially just adds a ton of new options for faces when making your characters, depending on what race and body type you pick. Some race body type combos get a few new faces to pick from, like half elf masculine, but for others like elf feminine, there's a bunch of new options. I'm talking like over 24 new faces to pick from. I love this mod because while yeah, the faces we get in the base game are great, don't get me wrong, having all of these extra options can really help with creating a character that just truly feels unique and all your own. Next up, we got the Basket Full of Equipment mod by Anti-Max. This mod adds over 700 pieces of equipment to the game for you to deck out your characters with. I'm talking about everything from simple cloth hoods and new leather armors all the way to these elaborate dresses and bard's clothes. The best part is that they're all available from the start of the game. In addition to, providing a few dyes, every piece of clothing that I tested was dyeable, but I'm sure there are some here that you can't dye. What's really cool about this mod is that all of the armor sets you equip are balanced in that they all share the same base AC, but depending on what armor proficiencies you have, that AC is gonna go higher. So if there's a dress, set of clothes or armor you want your character to fight in from this mod, but you could normally equip like heavy armor, no worries. It's gonna have AC comparable to heavy armor that you can get out in the world, and the AC is gonna increase with you a bit as you level. So that way, if you get attached to how your characters look, you don't have to discard what you're wearing just to be effective in combat. I think this is a really nice touch and allows for a lot of freedom in how you want your character to look throughout the entire playthrough without being overpowered. Next, I want to talk about Die by Liareth. This mod makes it so that a chest at the start of the game contains 100 of every single die available. This obviously is amazing for customizing many different aspects of your character. When combined with something like Everybody Dies Unlimited Dying mod by Loctite, you can use them as much as you want to, and they'll never run out. And then real quick, as a side note, I did want to mention there is a black die mod by Aetherpoint. This simply just adds an all black die to the game that surprisingly isn't available in the base game for some reason. And lastly, for customization, let me show off Tav's Hair Salon by Tori yet again. I don't use this mod personally, as it mostly adds hairstyles to the game that I'm not interested in, but this mod is so expansive and well done, I still want to show it off for those that might find these interesting and are looking to add more hairstyles to their game. There's 180 pictures on this mod page showing off some of these different hairstyles, which is crazy. I'm not sure exactly how many different hairstyles this adds. Someone in my TikTok comment said it's like 100 hairstyles, but still, I know it's a hell of a lot. The cool thing is that these are additional. They don't replace any existing hairstyles in the game, so you don't gotta worry about the mod messing up any NPCs out there in the world. So if your character has one of these, they're gonna be pretty unique. And for our last category, it's gonna be a small one where we simply cover some mods that add more dice sets to the game. First up, we got Dice Set Expansion by Cleric. This mod adds a bunch of new dice to the game to pick from when rolling skill checks and saving throws in dialogue and cutscenes. There's even enough here so you could literally, if you want to, use certain sets of dice for certain kinds of checks, like having one set of dice for charisma based checks and another for intelligence based ones. And the last mod that we are covering today is the Galaxy Dice Set by John Z YXX. This adds a extra set of dice to the game that you'll see for, again, rolls in dialogue and cutscenes. I really like the color and mapping of this set. I think it's dope. Personally, has this really cool galaxy theme to it, obviously. And that's gonna do it for this video. Sorry again to have been away for so long on YouTube, but I'm back now and you can expect more consistent uploads. What kind of mods for Baldur's Gate 3 are you most excited for, or what existing ones do you want me to talk about? I'm gonna be making more videos like this highlighting mods as new ones get released and updated. As always, I'm Minstora, and I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be easy. Peace.